Welcome to Bitter Reality Brewing. This is the top 10 tips, recommendations, suggestions, hacks, whatever you want to call them. Don't forget, like, subscribe, keep sharing. Greatly appreciate it. We blew through 1,000, looking to blow through a few more thousand in 2021. A good thing. Sipping away, which is almost gone on the double raspberry. It was a blonde ale. We're calling it golden blonde ale because the ABV is way up there. Great aromatics, great flavor. And we have our Imperial Oyster Stout. Both of those videos will be coming out here shortly. I'm happy, I'm excited. This top 10 is almost 100% dedicated to people who bottle. Even if you're kegging and you're bottling off your keg, keep this in mind. This is just useful information, bottom line. So, and also when we get towards the end of the top 10, I'm gonna tell you how you might be able to score some free Kosh bottles and where to look. So just something to think of. Something you may have gone, I never even thought about it. So, number one, anytime you're trying to save bottles and you pour the bottle into your glass, rinse your bottle twice. The reason I say that is the first rinse, you're gonna mix it with whatever's still in there. Dump it. Rinse it again, shake it, dump it. Set it aside for later when you wanna wash it and prep it and get ready to bottle again. But you probably notice little to nothing if you've rinsed it twice. If you rinsed it once, it's gonna smell, we'll be polite, it'll smell like nasty beer the next day because it's gonna get warm and it's gonna smell a little fragrant. Rinse it twice, trust me on that. Number two, don't waste your time on cheap bottles. We'll call it that. I've been trying to come up with a good name for it, but we'll just say don't waste your time on cheap bottles. If your bottle has a twist top, if the label looks like it's etched on, or it's gonna be hard to remove, or there's any nasty stuff in there you just don't want to clean because you forgot to rinse it twice, throw it away. Put it in your recycle if you have a recycle bin. If you're not in the US and you recycle glass, great. You know, sadly here we kind of do, just not like we used to. Instead we have all that lovely plastic everywhere, but it is what it is. So number three, and this, like I said, it's all about bottling. I do this and I do this religiously whenever I'm bottling. And yes, I keg, but I like to share the bottles, and it's easier to share in bottles. And I share them with just about any and everybody. So I had some pumpkin ale, I had to bottle it off. I cleaned about 20, a little more than 20 bottles. And as I was going through them and I'd rinsed them all, I looked up and I went, whoa, there was some discoloration. What I do is I use light, or I look out the window if it's daytime. And if that's clear looking, I can see through it really well, or translucent, great. But if I see any discoloration, anything that looks unusual, I try to clean it again. If it doesn't come clean, it goes to the recycle bin. Don't waste your time, but always at the end, just before you put your bottle in there, last thing you want to do is bottle your beer and that one bottle has that nasty stuff in the bottom. You gave that to your best friend, your boss, whoever it may be, and a couple weeks later they tried it and went, God, that's the nastiest thing I've ever tasted. What the hell was that he gave me? Or she or whatever. But the key is you're gonna go, hey, you want another one? They're gonna go, nah, it's all good. Or they're gonna go, sure, and they're gonna take it home and dump it. Going, man, I don't know what he does, but this stuff's nasty. So yeah, be careful on that. Number four, when bottling, fermenting, consider buckets with spigots. And let me explain it. I know a lot of people bottle, they have a spigot. Some of them will do a siphon, but there is a bonus to spigots, okay? And I've luckily never had one leak bad. I've had a little drip, and I've corrected it before. It was, caught way too late, should we say, or even late at all. But big mouth bubbler, which I like for ease of clean. I love my glass fermenters. The Brew Firm has a nice twist one, and it twists inside. You don't have to twist the whole thing, which is kind of cool. I kind of wish all of these did that. Got my little baby bubbler I got recently. But the key with these spigots is that if you're bottling from the primary, you already got your gunk on the bottom and open it up, you're gonna reduce air exposure, which means aeration or oxygenation to your bottle or to your beer going to another keg. And yes, you could run that straight down into a disconnect, open up the air side, hopefully you already purged your keg, and just let the beer go, and it's just gonna lower down. And if you get a little bit of air, you just repurge. But the key is it's gonna reduce the aeration and oxygen that can happen to your beer while you're moving it. If you're gonna do a secondary, same thing. You can move it to one to another, and if you have the spigots, it just makes it a little easier, less chance of oxygenation. I do the transfer system or the transfer pump, but if you don't have that, that's a great alternative. So something to be aware of. Number five, cookie sheet. We'll just call it the cookie sheet. But when bottling, and I have seen the hack where people say, oh, just put it on your dishwasher and that way any liquid falls. But I'm a klutz, and my dishwasher, it moves a little, it's not real stable. So yeah, no, that's more dangerous than putting them directly on the hard floor, or like I used to do it on tile floors. I put a couple layers of towels, so if they dripped or I wasn't paying attention and it bubbled over, I was okay. But if you saw the Brew Firm bottling, which actually isn't out yet, that's why you haven't seen it. Hopefully that'll be out here soon too. I use a cookie sheet. And if you're doing 50 bottles, you might need 2 cookie sheets, maybe a little more, I'm not sure. But it was so easy to clean up. Put all the bottles on the cookie sheet. I had a couple of drips here and there, not a big deal. When I got done, I capped all the bottles, took the cookie sheet, rinsed it off, wiped it down, done. Super simple, easy cleanup, made life really easy. So something to be aware of. Number 6, and this is something I've done and never even thought of being a recommendation or a hack. And I bet there's many people out there who have done this their whole time when they bottled. And there's other people who they don't even think of it. I need 12 bottles, I need 50, and they do 50 caps or 12 caps. No, always give yourself about 2 to 4 extra caps. If you drop 1 or 2 while you're capping, leave it, let it go, keep capping, get your capping done, rock on, move on, then go fetch that cap. If it's savable, which most are, just rinse it off, dry it off, put it away for next time. Just always sanitize a few extra caps, save yourself a lot of hassle. Number 7, and this is the one that I mentioned about the Kosh bottles. Okay, before we get into the Kosh bottles, I've heard of the college kid recommendation, or colleges where you can score some free bottles. Yeah, I'm gonna say don't waste your time, because they're either drinking cans, they're not old enough to drink, or to stop. Yeah, waste of time. Now, if you have a friend, manager, owner that owns a brew pub or a restaurant where they sell a lot of good quality beer, and they sell a lot of bottled beer, which I know quite a few restaurants and pubs around here, mainly. Yeah, some of the restaurants, mainly pubs. Ask them, hey, $20 for 100 bottles is an awesome deal for both them and you, because somebody who's working that night will be like, sure, I'll hold you 100 bottles, 20 bucks, done. And you can bring a garbage bag, stick them in, because they're not gonna sit and rinse them off, but that's a great way to score free bottles. I hate buying, actually I've never done it. I will not buy empty bottles for free. There's no point, because for double the price, I can get it with good beer in it, drink it, rinse it, and reuse it. That's just the way I am. So, but another idea, and I hadn't thought about this one, Kosh bottles. Oh my God, they're awesome. I have a few, I don't have a lot, but Kosh bottles. If you have a German restaurant, you have a brew pub where they sell Kosh bottles or Kosh bottled beer, pour it out, or British restaurants, anything like that nearby, go over, talk to them, say, hey, how much do you sell this? And they might say a couple a night. They might say, hey, we sell 10, 20 of these a night easy. Say, hey, could I cut you a deal? You know, maybe give you a little bit of money for your time. You set them in this little 6-pack containers or a box or a bucket. Not your spigot, but a bucket. And they're like, sure, we'll fill the whole bucket. Once the bucket's done, I'll give you a call. You come drop me, 10, 20 bucks, whatever it is, based on how many bottles you're getting. And I'll keep hooking you up until you tell me stop. That is an awesome idea. I'm like, dude, I've got to find myself a couple German and British restaurants or other restaurants that do Kosh bottles. And I know a few others that do Kosh bottles, just so I can start getting hooked up, because I would love to have Kosh bottles, but those things are expensive and I don't like buying those kind of bottles. They're just expensive. That's the reason I don't like buying them. Number 8, if you plan to age bottled beer or any beer in a bottle, consider using large bottles. You're like, what? Bombers, or even almost to the size of wine bottles. What it does is it helps to reduce the oxygen exposure. And if you're going to age it, that's very important. You don't want to age something that had oxygen exposure, because it's just going to get worse over time instead of better over time. But like I said, I bought my son for Christmas a big old bomber, and it was a soured rye, and sounded amazing. He said it was great, but it came in a big, very large bottle, almost the size of a wine bottle, 750 milliliters, I believe it is. But it helps to reduce that oxygen exposure, which might be why a lot of the aged Belgian beers or specialty beers that you can buy are only sold in bombers and large bottles. My theory is that they're probably pretty good at keeping that oxygen out, but they know it's going to age better in that big bottle versus a little bottle where you drink one and you're on to the next one. Plus, it makes more economics for them. So one big bottle costs them a little bit more, but they do charge quite a bit for some of those bottles. So it is what it is. Number 9, And yes, I've been down this road. Number 9 leads into number 10. They go hand in hand. Number 9, under fermenting your beer. If you go, hey, it's still bubbling, but not much. Or, hey, the beer kit said 10 days, so I'm bottling, I don't care. Or 7 days, or 4 days. It's a quack yeast, you know? I'm told it'll be done in 2 days. I don't care, I'm bottling. Yeah, overly sweet beer, when you bottle it, can become what they call a carb bomb. And I'm saying C-A-R-B, carb bomb. It will explode. And if you do what I did, which I don't have one sitting here, but I had a 6-pack container that I put all my beers in, and I had a bunch of them going in there. And the problem was that I didn't under ferment mine, but I miscalculated a fruit addition with powdered sugar or corn sugar. So I overcarbonated by adding too much sugar. And with that screw up, you won't just have one bottle burst. Sometimes the bottles are sitting up next to bottles, and when it bursts, the other ones are under so much pressure that they start exploding. You can have an entire 6-pack just go up. The first time I had it, I came home and had a big old puddle, and I'm like, what the heck is this? And then I figured it out. I moved them to somewhere a little safer, and literally in the middle of the night, we're sitting in the living room, boom, 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 boom. I had several blow up. Yeah, be careful on your priming sugar. Don't over carbonate. Give it a little time, it will carbonate. And be careful, if it's overly sweet, give it a little longer to age. Let it age out a little bit. I'm only saying like a week. And then, and I'm saying maybe an extra week, not just a week. Then bottle it. Add your priming sugar. There'll be plenty of yeast left in there. You'll be fine. Number 10, if you do end up with a carb bomb, what do you do? How to mitigate, I guess would be the expression, or how to survive and enjoy carb bombs. There is only one way, and this is what I did. I took all those bottles, I cleared out as much space as I could in my beer fridge, and I moved all of those carb bombs to my beer fridge and let them chill. They didn't explode anymore. They stopped exploding, which was awesome. You have another problem. Now the bottle is overcarbonated, but it's not going to explode. And if the beer tastes that good, which mine did, it was one of my raspberry gingers. I just screwed up and miscalculated the raspberry, totally forgot to calculate the raspberry addition as far as a sugar. So yeah, oops. Well, what you're gonna need to do is you're gonna need to take a glass, you're gonna need to take your bottle, and you want to enjoy it, keep it cold, keep the glass cold. Actually, the glass doesn't have to be cold, but it can be. Pop the top, and as soon as you pop it nice and easy, not fast. Take it and hold it like that. And pour slower than you've ever poured in your life. And then when it's done, you can enjoy it. If it starts to foam up a lot, back off, back off. The initial amount coming out of the top will be it. It won't keep doing it once it gets down to about 2/3. You'll be fine. But I enjoyed that entire raspberry ginger. I shared it out to a few friends who I knew could handle the whole pour it crazy slow. And I made sure it was cold before I gave it to them, told them to keep it cold, don't let it get warm. It's something, I want to say almost every person who's ever bottled for any length of time, it's probably had happen to them. Either they miscalculated or something happened. But if the beer was really good, you want to save it. You don't want to go, you know what, it's all going to explode, I don't care. If it tastes nasty, yeah, just get rid of it. So, you know, it is what it is. But cheer you with an empty glass. I'll have to put something in that here shortly. Thank you again for joining us here at Bitter Reality Brewing. Don't forget, like, subscribe, keep sharing. Appreciate it a great deal. Week 14. Thank you again.